English Grammar in Use by Raymond Murphy. Unit 113. Although, though, even though, in spite of, despite. Section A. Study this example situation. Last year, Paul and Sarah had a holiday by the sea. It rained a lot, but they enjoyed it. You can say,
although it rained a lot, they enjoyed it.
Means it rained a lot, but they, or
in spite of the rain, they enjoyed it.
Or
Despite the rain, they enjoyed it.
Section B. After although, we use a subject plus verb.
Although it rained a lot, we enjoyed our holiday.
I didn't get the job, although I had the necessary qualifications.
Compare the meaning of although and because.
We went out although it was raining heavily.
We didn't go out because it was raining heavily.
Section C. After in spite of or despite, we use a noun, a pronoun, this, that, what, etc., or ing.
In spite of the rain, we enjoyed our holiday.
I didn't get the job, in spite of having the necessary qualifications.
She wasn't well, but in spite of this, she continued working.
In spite of what I said yesterday, I still love you.
Despite is the same as in spite of. We say in spite of, but despite, without of.
She wasn't well, but despite this, she continued working.
Not despite of this. You can say in spite of the fact that and despite the fact that.
I didn't get the job in spite of the fact I had the necessary qualifications.
Or
I didn't get the job despite the fact I had the necessary qualifications.
Compare in spite of and because of.
We went out in spite of the rain. We didn't go out because of the rain.
Section D. Compare although and in spite of, or despite.
Although the traffic was bad, we arrived on time.
Or
In spite of the traffic, we arrived on time.
I couldn't sleep although I was very tired.
Or
I couldn't sleep despite being very tired.
Section E. Though is the same as although.
I didn't get the job, though I had the necessary qualifications.
In spoken English, we often use though at the end of a sentence.
the house isn't so nice. I like the garden though.
Means, but I like the garden.
I see them every day. I've never spoken to them, though.
Means, but I've never spoken to them. Even though, but not even alone, is a stronger form of although.
Even though I was really tired, I couldn't sleep.
Not even I was really tired. Now you can do exercises. Please pause the video when you see the exercise that you need and do it. Unit 114. In case. Section A. Study this example situation.
Your car should have a spare wheel in case you have a puncture.
Your car should have a spare wheel in case you have a puncture. In case you have a puncture means because it is possible you will have a puncture. Some more examples of in case.
I'll leave my mobile phone switched on in case Jane calls.
Means because it is possible she will call.
I'll draw a map for you in case you have problems finding our house.
Means because it's possible you will have problems.
I'll remind them about the meeting in case they've forgotten.
means because it's possible they have forgotten. We use just in case for a smaller possibility.
I don't think it will rain, but I'll take an umbrella just in case.
Means just in case it rains. Do not use will after in case. Use a present tense for the future. See Unit 25.
I'll leave my phone switched on in case Jane calls.
Not in case Jane will call. Section B. In case is not the same as if. We use in case to say why somebody does or doesn't do something. You do something now, in case something happens later. Compare. In case.
We'll buy some more food in case Tom comes.
Means maybe Tom will come. We'll buy some more food now, whether he comes or not. Then we'll already have the food if he comes. If.
We'll buy some more food if Tom comes.
Means maybe Tom will come. If he comes, we'll buy some more food. If he doesn't come, we won't buy any more food. In case.
I'll give you my phone number in case you need to contact me.
If.
You can call me on this number if you need to contact me.
In case.
You should insure your bike in case it is stolen.
If.
You should inform the police if your bike is stolen.
Section C. You can use in case plus past to say why somebody did something.
I left my phone switched on in case Jane called.
Means because it is possible that Jane would call.
I drew a map for Sarah in case she had problems finding the house.
We rang the doorbell again in case they hadn't heard it the first time.
Section D. In case of is not the same as in case. In case of means if there is, especially on notices, etc.
In case of fire, please leave the building as quickly as possible.
Means if there is a fire.
In case of emergency, call this number.
Means if there is an emergency. Now you can do exercises. Please pause the video when you see the exercise that you need and do it. Unit 115. Unless, as long as, provided, providing. Section A. Unless. Study this example situation. The club is for members only.
You can't go in unless you're a member.
This means you can't go in except if you are a member. You can go in only if you are a member. Unless means except if. Some more examples of unless.
I'll see you tomorrow unless I have to work late.
Means except if I have to work late.
There are no buses to the beach. Unless you have a car, it's difficult to get there.
Means except if you have a car.
Shall I tell Liz what happened?
Not unless she asks you.
Means only if she asks you.
Sally hates to complain. She wouldn't complain about something unless it was really bad.
Means except if it was really bad.
We can take a taxi to the restaurant, unless you'd prefer to walk.
Means except if you'd prefer to walk. Instead of unless, it is often possible to say if not.
Unless we leave now, we'll be late.
Or,
If we don't leave now, we'll be late.
Section B. As long as, provided, providing. As long as or so long as, provided that or providing that, all these expressions mean if or on condition that. For example,
you can borrow my car as long as you promise not to drive too fast.
means you can borrow my car, but you must promise not to drive too fast. This is a condition.
Travelling by car is convenient, provided you have somewhere to park.
Means but only if you have somewhere to park.
Providing the room is clean, I don't mind which hotel we stay at.
Means the room must be clean, otherwise I don't mind. Section C. Unless, as long as, etc. for the future. When you are talking about the future, do not use will after unless, as long as, so long as, provided, providing. Use a present tense. See Unit 25.
I'm not going out unless it stops raining.
Not unless it will stop.
Providing the weather is good, we're going to have a picnic tomorrow.
Not providing the weather will be good. Now you can do exercises. Please pause the video when you see the exercise that you need and do it. Unit 116. As I walked along the street, as I was hungry. Section A. As means at the same time as. You can use as when two things happen at the same time.
We all waved goodbye to Liz as she drove away.
We waved and she drove away at the same time.
As I walked along the street, I looked in the shop windows.
Can you turn off the light as you go out, please?
Or you can say that something happened as you were doing something else, in the middle of doing something else.
Kate slipped as she was getting off the bus.
We met Paul as we were leaving the hotel.
For the past continuous, was getting, were going, etc. See Unit 6. You can also use just as, means exactly at that moment.
Just as I sat down, the doorbell rang. I had to leave just as the conversation was getting interesting.
We also use as when two things happen together in a longer period of time.
As the day went on, the weather got worse.
I began to enjoy the job more as I got used to it.
Compare as and when. We use as only if two things happen at the same time.
As I drove home, I listened to music.
Means at the same time. Use when, not as, if one thing happens after another.
When I got home, I had something to eat.
Not as I got home. Section B. As means because. As also means because.
As I was hungry, I decided to find somewhere to eat.
Means because I was hungry.
As we have plenty of time before our flight, let's go and have a coffee.
We watched TV all evening as we didn't have anything better to do.
As I don't watch television anymore, I gave my TV to a friend of mine.
You can also use since in this way.
Since we have plenty of time, let's go and have a coffee.
Compare as means because and when.
I couldn't contact David as he was on holiday.
Means because he was on holiday.
David's passport was stolen when he was on holiday.
Means during the time he was away.
As they lived near us, we used to see them quite often.
Means because they lived near us.
When they lived near us, we used to see them quite often.
Means at the time they lived near us. Now you can do exercises. Please pause the video when you see the exercise that you need and do it. Unit 117. Like and as. Section A. Like means similar to, the same as. You cannot use as in this way.
What a beautiful house. It's like a palace.
What does Sandra do?
She's a teacher, like me.
Be careful. The floor has been polished. It's like walking on ice.
It's raining again. I hate weather like this.
In these sentences, like is a preposition, so it is followed by a noun, like a palace, a pronoun, like me, like this, or ing, like walking. You can also say, like somebody or something doing something.
What's that noise?
It sounds like a baby crying.
Sometimes like means for example.
I enjoy water sports like surfing, scuba diving, and water skiing.
You can also use such as.
I enjoy water sports such as surfing, scuba diving, and water skiing.
Section B. As means in the same way as or in the same condition as. We use as before subject plus verb.
I didn't move anything. I left everything as it was.
You should have done it as I showed you.
We also use like in this way.
I left everything like it was.
Compare as and like.
You should have done it as I showed you.
Or,
You should have done it like I showed you.
You should have done it like this.
Not as this. Note that we say as usual or as always.
You're late as usual.
As always, Nick was the first to complain.
Section C. Sometimes as plus subject plus verb has other meanings. For example, after do
You can do as you like.
means do what you like.
They did as they promised.
Means they did what they promised. We also say as you know, as I said, as she expected, as I thought, etc.
As you know, it's Emma's birthday next week.
Means you know this already.
Andy failed his driving test as he expected.
Means he expected this before. Like is not usual in these expressions, except with say, like I said.
As I said yesterday, I'm sure we can solve the problem.
Or,
Like I said yesterday,
Section D. As can also be a preposition, but the meaning is different from like. Compare.
As a taxi driver, I spend most of my working life in a car.
I am a taxi driver. That is my job.
Everyone wants me to drive them to places. I'm like a taxi driver.
I'm not a taxi driver, but I'm like one. As, preposition, means in the position of, in the form of, etc.
many years ago I worked as a photographer.
Not like a photographer.
many words, for example, work and rain, can be used as verbs or nouns.
London is fine as a place to visit, but I wouldn't like to live there.
The news of the tragedy came as a great shock.
Now you can do exercises. Please pause the video when you see the exercise that you need and do it. Unit 118. Like, as if, as though. Section A. You can use like to say how somebody or something looks, sounds, feels.
That house looks like it's going to fall down. Helen sounded like she had a cold, didn't she?
I've just got back from holiday, but I feel very tired. I don't feel like I've had a holiday.
You can also use as if or as though in all these examples.
That house looks as if it's going to fall down.
Helen sounded as if she had a cold, didn't she?
I don't feel as though I've had a holiday.
Compare.
You look tired.
Look plus adjective.
You look like you haven't slept.
Look like plus subject plus verb. As if and as though are more formal than like. Section B. You can say, it looks like, or it sounds like.
Sarah is very late, isn't she? It looks like she isn't coming.
We took an umbrella because it looked like it was going to rain. The noise is very loud next door. It sounds like they're having a party.
You can also use as if or as though.
It looks as if she isn't coming.
Or,
It looks as though she isn't coming.
it looked as if it was going to rain.
It sounds as though they're having a party.
Section C. You can use like, as if, as though, with other verbs to say how somebody does something.
He ran like he was running for his life.
After the interruption, the speaker went on talking as if nothing had happened.
When I told them my plan, they looked at me as though I was mad.
Section D. After as if or as though, we sometimes use the past when we are talking about the present. For example,
I don't like Tim. He talks as if he knew everything.
the meaning is not past in this sentence. We use the past as if he knew, because the idea is not real. Tim does not know everything. We use the past in the same way in other sentences with if and wish. See Unit 39. Like is not normally used in this way. Some more examples.
She's always asking me to do things for her, as if I didn't have enough to do already.
I do have enough to do.
Gary's only 40. Why do you talk about him as if he was an old man?
He isn't an old man. When you use the past in this way, you can use were instead of was.
Why do you talk about him as if he were an old man?
They treat me as if I were their own son.
Or,
They treat me as if I was their own son.
I'm not their son. Now you can do exercises. Please pause the video when you see the exercise that you need and do it. Unit 119. For, during, and while. Section A. For and during. We use for plus a period of time to say how long something goes on. For 2 hours. For a week. For ages.
We watched TV for 2 hours last night.
Jess is going away for a week in September.
Where have you been? I've been waiting for ages.
Are you going away for the weekend?
We use during plus noun to say when something happens, not how long. During the movie. During our holiday. During the night.
I fell asleep during the movie.
We met some really nice people during our holiday.
The ground is wet. It must have rained during the night.
With time words, for example, the morning, the afternoon, the summer, you can usually say in or during.
It must have rained in the night.
or,
It must have rained during the night.
I'll phone you sometime during the afternoon.
Or,
I'll phone you sometime in the afternoon.
You cannot use during to say how long something goes on.
it rained for 3 days without stopping.
Not during 3 days. Compare during and for.
I fell asleep during the movie. I was asleep for half an hour.
Section B. during and while. Compare. We use during plus noun.
I fell asleep during the movie.
We use while plus subject plus verb.
I fell asleep while I was watching TV. We met a lot of interesting people during our holiday.
We met a lot of interesting people while we were on holiday. Robert suddenly began to feel ill during the exam.
Robert suddenly began to feel ill while he was doing the exam.
Some more examples of while.
We saw Claire while we were waiting for the bus.
While you were out, there was a phone call for you.
Alex read a book while I watched TV.
When you're talking about the future, use the present, not will, after while.
I'm going to Singapore next week. I hope to see some friends of mine while I'm there.
Not while I will be there.
What are you going to do while you're waiting?
Not while you'll be waiting. See also Unit 25. Now you can do exercises. Please pause the video when you see the exercise that you need and do it. Unit 120. By and until. By the time. Section A. By means not later than.
I sent the documents to them today, so they should receive them by Monday.
Means on or before Monday, not later than Monday.
We'd better hurry. We have to be home by 5 o'clock.
Means at or before 5 o'clock, not later than 5 o'clock.
Where's Sarah? She should be here by now.
Means now or before now, so she should have already arrived.
This milk has to be used by the 14th of August.
Section B. We use until or till to say how long a situation continues.
Shall we go now?
No, let's wait until it stops raining.
Or,
No, let's wait till it stops raining.
I couldn't get up this morning. I stayed in bed until 10:30.
Or,
I didn't get up until 10:30.
Compare until and by. Something continues until a time in the future.
Joe will be away until Monday.
So he'll be back on Monday.
I'll be working until 11:30.
So I'll stop working at 11:30. Something happens by a time in the future.
Joe will be back by Monday.
Means he'll be back not later than Monday.
I'll have finished my work by 11:30.
Means I'll finish my work not later than 11:30. Section C. You can say by the time something happens. Study these examples.
It's too late to go to the bank now. By the time we get there, it will be closed.
Means the bank will close between now and the time we get there. From a postcard.
Our holiday ends tomorrow, so by the time you receive this postcard, I'll be back home.
Means I will arrive home between tomorrow and the time you receive this postcard.
Hurry up! By the time we get to the cinema, the film will already have started.
You can say by the time something happened for the past.
Karen's car broke down on the way to the party last night. By the time she arrived, most of the other guests had left.
Means it took her a long time to get to the party and most of the guests left during this time.
I had a lot of work to do yesterday evening. I was very tired by the time I finished.
Means it took me a long time to do the work and I became more and more tired during this time.
We went to the cinema last night. It took us a long time to find somewhere to park the car. By the time we got to the cinema, The film had already started.
Also, by then or by that time.
Karen finally got to the party at midnight, but by then most of the other guests had left.
Or,
But by that time most of the other guests had left.
Now you can do exercises. Please pause the video when you see the exercise that you need and do it. Thanks for watching and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.